The first 10 seconds mattered in World War II, not in a cinematic way, in a real way. The kind of way where the wrong choice, the wrong step, the wrong piece of gear could mean frostbite, infection, starvation, or silence. On every front, soldiers weren't just fighting enemies. They were fighting cold, hunger, darkness, blood loss, and exhaustion. What kept them breathing wasn't only courage, it was what they carried. Today, on Life in Wartime World War II, we're breaking down 7 essential survival tools that quietly, brutally and faithfully kept World War II soldiers alive. The helmet that did more than stop bullets. The steel helmet wasn't just a symbol of war. It was a survival machine. Yes, it deflected shrapnel and flying debris, which caused the majority of battlefield head injuries. But its real power was versatility. Soldiers used helmets to carry water when canteens were empty. They boiled water in them, mixed rations in them, dug with them, even used them as emergency toilets in trenches where standing up meant dying. In winter, helmets were stuffed with cloth for insulation. In the heat, they were dipped into rivers and worn dripping wet to cool the head. A cracked helmet could be replaced, but, well, a cracked skull couldn't. For millions of soldiers, that curved piece of steel was the thin line between concussion and coffin. The entrenching tool that built safety from nothing. Small, foldable, easy to underestimate. The entrenching tool, basically a compact shovel, saved more lives than many weapons ever did. The moment soldiers stopped moving, they dug. Foxholes, drainage channels, snow shelters, latrines, graves. The faster a soldier could dig, the longer they could live. A shallow hole could stop shrapnel. A deeper one could stop bullets. In rain, it kept water from pooling around the body. In desert heat, it allowed soldiers to reach cooler earth. In snow, it carved wind-blocking walls. Some soldiers sharpened the edges and used them in close combat. Brutal, effective, personal. But above all, this tool let a soldier turn open ground into protection within minutes. And in wartime, minutes were everything. The first aid kit that turned chaos into seconds, before helicopters, before rapid evacuation, before modern trauma medicine. Survival often came down to what a soldier could do in the first 60 seconds after being hit. Every World War II soldier carried a basic first aid kit. Inside were bandages, compresses, sometimes sulfur powder to fight infection, and morphine syrettes to control shock and pain. A properly applied field dressing could stop a man from bleeding out before help arrived. Tourniquets were improvised from belts and straps, you know. Soldiers were trained to treat themselves in darkness, in mud, under fire. Infection killed almost as efficiently as bullets in earlier wars. But, well, WWII medicine finally began to push back, and that small pouch on a soldier's belt became a pocket-sized lifeline. The canteen that fought dehydration before the enemy could. Water doesn't sound dramatic, does it? Until it's gone. Dehydration destroys strength, focus, and body temperature control. In North Africa, men collapse from heat stroke. In the Pacific, disease spread through contaminated water. And in Europe's winters, dehydration came quietly because thirst vanished in the cold. The metal canteen was survival in liquid form. Soldiers rationed it, boiled in it, purified water with tablets, and melted snow in it. Some units, marked every refill point, while others risked sniper fire just to top off. Many helmets doubled as emergency carriers, but the canteen stayed strapped to the body, even when packs were dropped. A man could fight wounded. He could fight hungry. But without water, he couldn't fight long. Calories were combat power, and the mess kit was how soldiers unlocked them. Usually made of lightweight metal, the mess kit nested together and clipped to a pack. It wasn't fancy, but it meant hot food. It meant melted snow. It meant boiling questionable water until it was safe. Soldiers heated canned rations, made stews from scavenged ingredients, and brewed bitter coffee that honestly felt like civilization in a cup. Warm food did more than feed the body. It stabilized morale. It fought hypothermia. It gave exhausted men something human to hold on to. Armies that ate cold and raw broke faster. The mess kit was, the quiet architect of endurance. The knife was never just a weapon. Most days it wasn't a weapon at all. It cut rope, opened tins, shaved wood, cleaned fish, repaired gear, dug shallow holes, carved tent stakes. In jungles it cleared paths. In winter it cut frozen boots off swollen feet. Soldiers slept with knives, not because they expected a fight, but because, they expected to need it. Yes, in close combat it became lethal, but its daily job was survival engineering. When everything else failed, when rifles jammed and supplies vanished, the knife remained. Simple, sharp, unarguable. It was the one tool no soldier ever questioned carrying. The flashlight that owned the night. Darkness killed. It hid tripwires, turned medics blind, made maps useless. A small flashlight, often with coloured filters to preserve night vision, gave soldiers control over a world that wanted them dead. They used them to read orders, signal quietly, treat wounds, navigate ruined buildings, check weapons. In air raids and blackouts, light discipline was strict, but total darkness was worse. Some soldiers taped them to weapons, others to their helmets. The beam was narrow, weak by modern standards. But in a war of shadows, even a whisper of light could mean the difference between walking forward and never walking again. None of these tools were glamorous. None won medals. But together they formed a survival system. They managed blood, water, warmth, shelter, food, and awareness. They turned frightened young people into functioning fighters. They extended life long enough for courage to matter. World War II wasn't only won by tanks and aircraft. It was endured by individuals. Cold hands gripping hot metal, shaking fingers tying bandages. Canteens passed between brothers who might not see morning. These tools were the unseen backbone of that endurance. And that's why we talk about them. Because history isn't only strategy, it's survival. If this deep dive gave you a new respect for the everyday gear that carried soldiers through hell, Make sure you subscribe to Life in Wartime WWII. Share this video with someone who thinks history is only dates and battles. And stay with us, because here we don't just tell war stories. We uncover how people actually lived through them.